More PGA talk, more props. Let's go. I am Geoff Fienberg for oddschecker.com. It's my buddy at Tour Picks, Joe Idone. We are here to break down the FedEx St. Jude, the first leg of the FedEx Cup playoffs. That can be a mouthful at time if you sort of say it in the wrong order and then you piggyback it with mentioning it's the FedEx Cup playoffs. Enough of that from me. First leg of the playoffs are here. These are two wonderful events. Well, the FedEx Cup in its totality has probably failed to resonate with the American sports fan. The golf fan absolutely loves these first two legs. Field is strong as majors, arguably. You can make a case stronger. There's no backdooring into them. If you missed my outright picks video with Rick Gaiman, go check it out on the YouTube feed. But we're going to start it off with the props. I'm going to get it going out of the gate with a matchup. Player I'm picking to win this week, Sungjae Im. I'm laying minus 115 for him to take down Shane Lowry, one of the more consistent players on tour this season. So kind of a little nerve-wracking picking on Lowry, but I really want to invest in Im, not just in the outright market, because we know there's variables there, and that's a big ask. I think he's set up to have a fantastic week on Bermuda surfaces. Driver iron setup week. If he makes a couple shorties, doesn't get caught by that Tom Kim wagon, we're probably talking about Im an entirely different price point this week. So Im taking on Lowry head-to-head minus 115 in the matchup.
Don't mind it one bit, sir. Have Sungjae Im outright ticket this week, so very much like that. I'll stick with the matchup market. And as we creep into the late afternoon here, I don't know the reality of if this bet, how it really stands, but here's what I got. Patrick Cantley, minus 120 over Cameron Smith. The reality is, I think if you kind of zoom out a little bit past the Open Championship, Cantley's form has been much more consistent. He's got 5 top 14 finishes consecutively, including a recent one at the Rocket Mortgage where he finished runner-up to Tony Finau. We haven't seen Cam Smith since the Open. We know the uncertainties. We know the rumors. We know the press conference he's got here in a little bit where he's going to be bludgeoned with questions that he's got to answer for. I like Cantley this week, even before that. So if they both are able to tee it up this week, I think minus 120 is a very fair number for Patrick.
When you consider, Cam Smith's weakness, could find himself right into some of those landmine,
absolutely
watered hazards all over St. Jude. For me, Joe, I'm taking a top 20 here. I got a couple of them to round out my card. One of them, we're going to piggyback each other. Top 20, Jon Rahm, plus 120 available at Unibet. Top 20, Jon Rahm taking home plus money. I know there have been struggles. Struggles relative to the Jon Rahm form, but it's still driver iron week on the PGA Tour. It's still Jon Rahm winning right now at this moment in time on tour. We always talk about it in the majors, how you need form. It kind of feels impossible to win anywhere on tour right now without form. That being said, I'm hoping there's a kickstart here in the FedEx Cup playoffs. You're seeing outright numbers bigger than we normally see for Jon Rahm. Didn't have the courage to do that, but I'm still going to be invested in him this week. T20 plus 120 when using that grid.
Yeah, dude. Like, it's interesting because you mentioned how there have been signs. We've been seeing things click with a lot of the winners recently. I think that range true, but when you're talking about someone of Jon Rahm's stature, like top 3 talented player on the planet, I think that you can make exceptions, and I think that this is a case given the price point where you're catching a little drift in a number on a plus money top 20. I'm going to go to top 40 market before we piggyback on the last one. Scott Stallings has been playing fantastic, Jeff. We know he makes his home there in Tennessee over in Knoxville, but more so than that, just the recent form for me, hasn't finished worse than 13th in his last 4 starts. All you need in a top 40 market this week over at Bet365 is a plus 120 number to finish 40th or better. Limited field, only 122 to 125 potentially guys in this field. Should have a comfort level there in Tennessee. Ride the recent form where the approach numbers and the tee to green has been fantastic. I hope that he can keep it going this week. Plus 120 on a top 40 on Scotty Stallings.
Yeah, so I know we limit it to 3 here, Joe, but I'll just put it out there. There are a few guys sort of in that plus money T40 range that I do have my eye on. Stallings being one of them. Going to run a couple names off in no particular order. Cam Davis, Tyler Pendrith, Anirban Lahiri after like first and tee to green last week. I think it just sets up for him to plot along nicely and T40 again. So I do think there are some nice opportunities. And Scott Stallings, man, the guy is like T20ing every single
Heater.
week as well. I'll let you, piggybacker, take the lead on this last one, which we do have matching. His T20 last week was a saving grace for me in these efforts. I have bet this man to win the golf tournament. We are both in on the T20 as the trajectory continues to move in one direction, and that seems to be
Positive.
positive. By one direction, I mean the placings. There's a big one coming, I feel. Take us home, Joe.
Yeah, absolutely. It's Tyrol Hatton. I've bet him as well in the top 20 market. He is plus 210 over at Bet365. Here's the thing. You mentioned it. 5 consecutive start where each one has been better than the last. With an 8th place finish at the Wyndham being his best over those 5. He was number 1 in scrambling last week at the Wyndham, which I think is important for Tyrol. He's been incredible, actually, tee to green. I believe if you factor in the strokes gain stats from the Scottish, the Open Championship, as well as last week at the Wyndham, he's almost gained 20 strokes on the field. Ball striking, which is not normally like where you think he's going to pick up a ton on the field. What he hasn't been, surprisingly, is probably his best asset, and that's a great putter. He's one of the best Bermuda grass putters in the field. We know about the win at the API. We know about the win at Congaree. He's got this affinity for Bermuda grass greens. He shows up there again this week. If he can do his thing with the putter, all the rest of the parts and the mechanics of his game seem to really be clicking right now. I'm encouraged by the tee to green stuff, given that there's 11 holes with water in play for Tyrol. If he can just keep continuing to pound fairways and pound greens, I'm of the belief that he's going to start making some putts very soon, which should lead to a Sunday contention.
For Joe Idone, I am Geoff Fienberg. Thank you, odds checkers. Smash that like button. We'll be back next week breaking down the second leg of the FedEx Cup playoffs. We out.